Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 93. It is Monday today, the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, and we are all back in our routines of work and school and activities. Here in Cincinnati, it is cold and gray and rainy, a little foggy. It's like the perfect Monday morning weather after a holiday weekend where everybody just wants to stay in bed and make it an extra day off. I think a lot of people were praying for snow days. Yeah, here we are. I trust that your weekend, if you celebrated Thanksgiving, if you live in the United States, was beautiful and filled with good food and cozy afternoons with your family and your friends. I feel filled up. I was talking to one of my friends, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, and we were just saying, like, we're overjoyed. There's so much joy that we're overjoying, which is not a bad place to be. And this morning, as I was preparing for this podcast, after several days off, it's funny now, I have all these ideas that pop up all the time. Whatever I'm doing, suddenly I'll just have this thought like, oh, that'd be such a great topic to bring into Gaia's Love space. And some of them come through and some of them don't. And this morning, when I was meditating, I kept hearing the word forgiving. And I was like, forgiving? Is that really what we're going to talk about the Monday after Thanksgiving? Like, is that what is most relevant? And so I was just contemplating the word and how it plays out in my life, and knowing whatever is supposed to be talked about is what's going to be talked about, and it'll show up as it's supposed to. And so my mind was really busy thinking through all the ideas about that topic, and I did this crystallizing meditation that I always do right before this podcast to make sure my energy field is clear, the love that comes through from this planet, from Gaia, from Source, from God, is clearly flowing. And so the word forgiving started to slide away, and the word empathy came forward. I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Forgiving leads to empathy. And then right as I was finishing my meditation and getting ready to turn on the recording, I saw this Zen card that is in my Osho deck called Nothingness. And I was muscle testing, like, that's what we're going to talk about today is nothingness? Like, really? There's all these other topics, aren't they more relevant? And what I clearly feel is this is the card for it's not this is the card. This is the word, the vibration for what I feel collectively happening on our planet right now. And tapping directly into that offers the greatest opportunity for creating a really amazing week, each of us stepping into bigger platforms, into bigger possibilities. So a little backstory on this card. This Osho deck, for a long time, it's the only tarot card deck I've had. I don't even like to call it a tarot card, a Zen card deck. It's the only deck I've ever had. I found it about maybe 3 or 4 years ago in California. I was with one of my best friends on this beautiful little quick getaway, and we stopped into this tiny store that I just love that had this deck, and I picked it up and didn't know why, but I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to own a Zen card deck. Who knew that I was going to be doing cards? But I really enjoyed this. And so it felt good. I got home. I started just exploring the definitions of each of the cards. I've read many of them in this podcast space to you before. And the wisdom is always so profound and so powerful, and such beautiful ways of seeing life and this journey as a soul here in a human body. So of course, when I like something, I talk about it and I share it. And so all of my best friends ended up getting one of these decks. And then other people, I talk about it, they get a deck. And so this Osho Zen deck has really spread throughout my circles. When I got it, I looked through all the cards and I was reading some of the descriptions, and the one that scared me the most was this card called Nothingness. And it's literally a card filled with black ink. There's nothing. There's nothing on the card. And I was like, what is this? Like, who wants to get that card? So of course, every time I would sit and tune into energy and play with these cards, that card would come up over and over again. I was like, shoot, like, why do I have to keep seeing this? And yet what I was moving through at that time was leaving a partnership with this woman I loved and stepping into my own business and creating my own offerings and finding my own voice. And a lot of that was done in the space of nothingness, not knowing what was even possible, and yet sitting in that unknown, just sitting in it and allowing something new to be created. And so over the past few years, as I've built my business, this card has popped up here or there, but it hasn't scared me as much. And then eventually it became this treasured card, like, yes, nothingness showed up. We're in the gap. Woohoo! Something great is happening. It became like a gift to get this card. So last month, when I created the tarot spread that I was describing from the Many Moons book, where you pick a card of where you want to be, where you are right now at the new moon, and where you would like to be energetically by the next new moon. And then you ask all these questions along the way, and it creates this arc of sort of steps. How are you going to get from where you are to where you want to be? And right at the top, I picked the Nothingness card. I pulled it out of the deck and I put it in the middle. And so as I've been moving over the last couple of weeks, what I've been moving through, I've shared some of this in the podcast by reading the cards. It has walked me up towards this top of the arc where I sit right now with this card of nothingness. And then over the next week and a half, as I move towards the next new moon, I'll go down towards where I want to be energetically, and I have these wisdom cards to guide what that process will look like. So the Nothingness card is holding space right at the top of this learning curve that I'm going through. This 1 month whoosh of energy. Nothingness is what I chose to hold space. So this morning, as I'm meditating and coming up with these wonderful topics, forgiveness and empathy and discernment and all these big things, what my soul very clearly said is, yeah, and you're going to sit in the dark. You're going to sit in the unknown for a little while, and that is where you will find your greatest treasure. So I share this with you as an invitation perhaps to also sit in the unknown a little bit, to be still, to sit in the gap and trust that something miraculous is unfolding. So I'm going to read the card to you and then allow you to interpret it in whatever ways it resonates. So from the Osho Zen deck, the Nothingness card, and it's literally No-thingness, no thingness. Here's what it says. Buddha has chosen one of the really very potential words, shunyata. The English word, the English equivalent, nothingness, is not such a beautiful word. That's why I would like to make it no thingness, because the nothing is not just nothing. It is all. It is vibrant with all possibilities. It is potential, absolute potential. It is unmanifest yet, but it contains all. In the beginning is nature, in the end is nature. So why in the middle do you make so much fuss? Why in the middle becoming so worried, so anxious, so ambitious? Why create such despair? Nothingness to nothingness is the whole journey. And then the commentary is short. It has a picture of this black card. It says, being in the gap can be disorienting and even scary. Nothing to hold on to, no sense of direction, not even a hint of what choices and possibilities might lie ahead. But it was just this state of pure potential that existed before the universe was created. All you can do now is to relax into this nothingness. Fall into the silence between the words. Watch this gap between the outgoing and the incoming breath, and treasure each empty moment of the experience. Something sacred is about to be born. I will post the picture of the card in the Soulshine Tribe if you want to see just how purely unknown it is. Yeah, let's sit in the gap. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.